down. With each breath we give away, it'll never be the same. I'm chasing somebody who won't ever ease the pain, but I don't want half of your heart, heart, heart. You can have it back if it's only half of your heart.
Racewear, makers of the ultimate sim racing shoes and custom apparel designed for sim racing by sim racers. 40 racing shoes are engineered to connect racers to the pedals in a way no other racing shoe can, all the while giving you the comfort needed to complete those double and triple stints. Visit 40racewear.com and check out the latest sim racing products that let you connect to your sim.
Say how I feel, to know I let you down. Cause late nights turn to days, don't wanna let you down. With each breath we give away, it'll never be the same. I'm chasing somebody who won't ever ease the pain, but I don't want half of your heart, heart, heart. You can have it back if it's only half of your heart. If it's only half of your heart.
40 Racewear, makers of the ultimate sim racing shoes and custom apparel designed for sim racing by sim racers. 40 racing shoes are engineered to connect racers to the pedals in a way no other racing shoe can, all the while giving you the comfort needed to complete those double and triple stints. Visit 40racewear.com and check out the latest sim racing products that let you connect to your sim.
All right, good evening, everyone. Welcome to Green White Checkered TV, where tonight we have the Area 51 Tuesday IndyCar Series. Tonight here at Pocono Raceway, 95 laps is our scheduled distance. As qualifiers or drivers right now making their qualifying laps to begin this race. So again, 95 laps here tonight. Very large track that you can see, 2.5 miles. This is kind of one of those few tracks that you can pit and not lose a lap. So maybe we'll see some strategy afoot tonight. Say pretty much here and Indy, in my mind, are pretty much the only two you can get away with it at. So we'll see if we see any kind of off strategies. Here in fuel, maybe somewhere about the 24 or so lap range on full rich. So I think that pretty much guarantees that there won't be any pit strategy of trying to short pit or anything like that. I think it's going to be pretty much a guaranteed 3-stop race for all of these drivers, pending, of course, if and when cautions could fall. So 2 races in, Edson Santos leads Craig by 3 points. Last week's race, it was Chris Stouffer getting the recovery drive win, Craig a recovery drive runner-up, and Sab Cosner grabbing that final podium spot. So again, very, very different track here tonight than Texas. Very warm conditions, 86 ambient, 135 degree track temperature. So I think that's going to be job number one, is for these drivers to see how to find some grip on this 2.5 mile oval. And we're going to be switching over to our Mr. Andrew Wood, because Andrew, you know this track, you run well here. And what's the magic to make this happen at this 3 or 6 or other turn track?
Okay, well, I'll correct you there. There's only 3 turns on this track, despite a lot of people saying, oh, yeah, I'm entering turn 4 right now, and everyone's like, what are you talking about? But my top-line thought here, Gael, is we had the NASCAR real-life race last weekend, the weekend before last, rather, and there were very similar conditions. It was very, very hot. It was kind of a heat wave in the Northeast, so these drivers are kind of experiencing the same exact thing that the NASCAR real-life drivers were experiencing back then. So I predict that it's going to be a little bit more strung out, different than we saw at Texas last week. The key here is really going to be keeping the car underneath you, and even if you can't get ahead of the guy that you're chasing, it's best to just kind of sit there. If you know you're better than them, save a little bit of fuel. Any fuel save situation you have going on, especially earlier in the race, and knowing that the field will be strung out a little bit, it'll help you out in the long run. Maybe you can cut out a tire stop, just do like a fuel only to the end sort of thing. I think these guys are really thinking right now, hey, I can't really get by anyone on this track very easily, and I'm going to try to employ a different strategy here. So those are the thoughts that I'd be going through my mind if I was on the grid tonight.
Yeah, and I'm with you there. Is you're going to have to figure out a way to make the passes, be it on track, be it on the strategy side of things. And that's going to be it. Is, I mean, you think about how long these straightaways are. It's going to be all about getting that setup done. And then, honestly, it's going to be we talk about the draft lock as well. That's going to be a tough one here and at Indy, where when you've got just that train of cars in the draft, there's going to be a chance where you might get a good exit and you get underneath them. But if they're in the toe of that car in front of you, they're going to pull right back on by you. You won't even have a chance to get after them and try to make that move. So that's going to be also a big strategy in how you want to try to make these passes happen. I think it's definitely going to be track position versus strategy. It's going to be a big one here tonight.
It's definitely going to be kind of one of those roll with the punches sort of races, and I'm sure that we've seen these before, and we can predict how it's going to be now, but it may be a whole different beast once we get to the race.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And we're going to find out where those drivers are going to kick it off this evening, as we're going to get into our starting grid for tonight's event. And up front, it's going to be Matt Wagner taking the top spot in that number 6 machine by 4 thousandths of a second over Edson Santos. Craig Forsyth there in third. Nicholas Stockner fourth. Tristan Forston in the 5th spot. I want to say that's the furthest back Tristan I think started this season, and that's a 5th place, so pretty solid. Obviously in the qualifying stuff for him. He's looking to finish off the race though tonight. I think that's probably job number 1 for him. Then you got Eric Peterson next to him, Gary Laverne, Frank Irwin Jr., Christopher Eric Schaus are top 10. Then 11th, Jim Herrick in that number 40 machine, Ryan Kelly in 12th. Continuing down the order, then you have John Boris in the 86, 13th, Jeff Heisong next to him in 14th. Will Stearns, Larry Yingling there in 15th, 16th, Shane Coker and Robert Smith, Nick Cohan, Wayne Campbell in the top 20, and Chris Jabot, Bill Burrell, Daniel Durazo, and Bill Cawley there in 24th. And I believe it's going to be the 24 drivers. I don't believe Charles Teed is still in the server, so I think we're going to have 24 starters this evening, if I'm not mistaken, as the field's still finishing gridding up here for tonight's event.
It's one of those things where we have a large field, and it'll be interesting to see how spread out that field gets. And that's something we were talking about with the hot temperatures. The starts and the restarts are going to be the main thing. And there's that very, very long front straightaway there where you can get 3-4 wide. And I think we'll see more of the 4 wide tonight, especially if guys know that, hey, it's been 10 or 11 laps, so we went green. Let's say there's a caution lap 11. I'll take a bet there, by the way. If there's a caution on lap 11, I'm going to take all of Area 51's winnings. And then once you get the restart going, it'll say, okay, well, now it's time for me to make a move here. So you have no idea what exactly is in store for what sort of restarts and starts are going on. And that's going to be the best advantage that these guys are going to be going for.
Yeah, you see right there, Eric Schaus jumping to the pits. I think he's been having a few connection hiccups in that number 72 car. So it looks like you can see him kind of blinking right now. So I think that's one of those decisions where he's like, you know what, it's going to be safer for me and for everybody if I go ahead and start from the pit road. So again, I think just the kind of respect being given. He's like, hey, I don't want to have something happen here early on. So field's rolling out to get this initial warm-up lap underway. And yeah, and again, I think the other thing that we haven't talked about yet tonight, Andrew, and it seems to always, not always, but I say it's definitely been a big topic lately, and that's the restarts now starting a little bit later, or a little earlier, I should say, letting that pace car get away, because already you can kind of see it happening where right now you see where Matt Wagner is. You're looking for that pace car, and it is pretty much out of view right now. And that's what some of the adjustments they're trying to see if they can help that restarts kind of be a little less kind of packed up, I guess you could say. So we'll see how this one goes. We saw last week at Texas, didn't go as well as obviously I think any of the admins were hoping, but I think again, getting more races under the belts, getting familiar with one another, I think again it'll just be one of those things you just kind of got to get a little bit more comfortable with it. However, of course, the initial start always going to be double file here.
Well, I think that start schematic is a little bit different from what people are used to. People are used to kind of following the pace car and then going whenever the pace car comes in or whenever the leader goes, which is just a couple seconds after. So I think last week at Texas, when trying this, might have been a little confusing to some folks. It's just something that's out of rhythm for everyone. So I think people have learned their lesson, and as you get used to it, you'll understand kind of how the start procedure goes. So I don't see that there will be any problems going on right now, but before I make a fool out of myself, let's make sure that everyone gets underway nicely, as we see Matt Wagner's going right now.
And I'll say, as you say, we are underway. Matt's going to lead him here to the green. And you can see already, it definitely lets that field spread out nicely. As I say, we're kind of watching through the back of the pack, and yeah, it looks like all's going to be well. So I think we are good to go. You'll probably see Eric Schaus. Yep, he's already rolling there. As the pace car cuts in, he's going to jump on out, as it's going to be Matt Wagner here leading that field into turn one. And again, this is where we talked about as well, Andrew. Tires cold. Look at Matt already trying to break the draft there. But tires are cold here, so can't stay too committed yet to the throttle. Got to be a little ginger here. But right now, everybody seems like kind of minding those P's and Q's. And then these guys mid-pack, it's all about trying to find that clean air.
A little bit of a bobble by Jim Herrick in turn two. He did touch that yellow line in a tunnel turn two there, and kind of checked up everybody that was alongside of him. So that's going to break up the field a little bit, but Herrick continues on, and it seems that we are all good to go. Fully green for the first lap. Now in the back of the field, that start did still bobble some people up. I think some people were still a little unsure of when to go exactly, but I think it's still going to be a learning curve, but we'll get there eventually.
And right now you got the full snake going down pretty much every straightaway right now here, Andrew. You can see all those guys, especially being led kind of by Matt Wagner, and say, well, actually, as he gets through turn 3 here, we'll go and take a look out the back, and you'll be able to see kind of he's going to lead that train. Look how Edson, he's running that top line there, just trying to get all the clean air he can. So here goes Matt, and he's going to start to snake down just a little bit. There's Edson following along here, and then Matt's going to track back up the track, and that's what you're going to see is, and so that's kind of why they call it the snake, is these guys snaking all the way down, up and down the straightaways here. As at the moment, the last lap there, Nicholas Stockner right here working on Craig Forsyth as we switch to him. Just put down the fastest lap of the race, and we've got a little breakaway here. Pretty much the top 8 to Gary Laverne there. They've got about a second and a half now on that Jim Herrick group you were just mentioning earlier. So right in that window right now, about breaking the draft. So this is where you got to see if these guys are able to settle in and try to get back to one another. Otherwise, they might risk losing that top 8 group if they stay organized.
I think that Jim Herrick mistake there caused a 3-wide situation into turn 3 on the previous lap, which everyone kind of had to slow down and make sure they got through the corner properly. And that down that long front straightaway, you can lose so much time if you're 10 to 15 miles per hour slower. So unfortunately, that one small mistake by Herrick in turn 2 there caused that bottom part of the top 10 to break away from the lead pack. And as you see, it looks like Herrick's got that spot back, but Ryan Kelly, Jeff Heisong, and Frank Irwin have all been fighting pretty hard for those positions to gain there, and they're all saying, hey, we lost so much time, we need to make sure we get back up to the front again. And they are starting to sort of catch that pack again. Jim is only about a little over a second behind the car in P7 there, so that is closing up a little bit, but that has to do a lot with this track temp, which is boiling right now. And as the front of the field starts to kind of settle up a little bit, everyone's kind of falling back a little bit into that pack.
Yeah, and I think clean air is going to be a good topic as well. It's one of the topics every week with these cars, but looking at Matt Wagner, his last lap, he's in clean air. He ran a 42.70. Go back to Eric Schau, started from the pits, 42.77, only 0.07 of a second slower. And you can see, he's just about in touch at the back of the field, just again, even starting from the pits. So just shows what that clean air can do with these guys. And then, yeah, like I said, the strategy as well to see what the plan's going to be. You can see Edson's definitely trying to keep Matt honest here. Craig's fallen back to about a second. So you can see, again, you almost got that draft train that I mentioned a little bit earlier in this thing. So I think a lot of these guys trying to get those spots early before we see exactly what's happening with this being strung out. As you can see, one of those that I was about to mention is right there on the inside, Daniel Durazo. He's been up about 7 spots trying to get number 8. Was working around. Oh, actually, I think I just saw Schaus take a big shot to the outside wall there in turn number 1. And it's as soon as I try to take a look, they starts having the connection issues, unfortunately. But possibly a pretty big hit there for a 72 out of 1. But yeah, right now, so you can see the 2 wants to try to make the move. We'll see if he can make it stick here in 3.
I saw Christopher make a nice move on Nicholas Stockner down the back straightaway out of turn 1 there. It looked like Stockner do a little mini lift there. He's coming back at it right now. For P4 here, but yeah, Stockner had a lead too. A little bit. Yeah, Stockner had a little bit of a lift, and Stover got the spot. And yeah, let's go back up to the lead here.
Now I'm wondering, is this them fighting for position, or is this them trying to break away from the field? We've seen them do this before in a race. I believe it may have been Homestead actually, maybe the season opener, where we saw the leader start to do the swap draft and just kind of run away from the field. So this might be one of those things where, again, they see Craig in 3rd, and again, we kind of make generalizations, but we always joke about Craig being Mr. Fuel Save. I wonder if this is one of those, hey, let's bump the pace of this race up here and try to see if we can do something. But as soon as I say that, it seems like Edson's been pretty comfortable setting it back in position there in that 20 car. So maybe not what we were thinking initially. You can see it right there coming out of turn 1. Oh, there's one hit the wall there. It's Frank Irwin Jr. He is into the inside wall. That car is destroyed. He's going to try to see if he can keep it down. Maybe limp it back to the pits. We could stay green. That was a big hit out of turn 1. Like you said, the track temperature, and that's unfortunately the first victim of that out of turn 1.
I've actually been scrolling through the field, and I've seen quite a few cars that had to backpedal a little bit as they go wide in all 3 corners on the track, really. And Ryan Kelly on the last lap had a big moment coming out of turn 2, and he had to kind of lift and lost all the advantage that he had on the car ahead of him. So I think it's definitely one of those things where you're just stuck in the draft, and as I was mentioning on the pre-race, you really just, at this point, you need to know what your limits are on the car, how to get through the corner safely, and use that to your advantage to save a little bit of fuel here. Now, if you're the leaders like Edson and Matt, you could definitely go at it and do a swap draft situation, which seems to be what they're actually doing right now. They're trying to work together, and that's leaving Craig Forsyth in the dust a little bit. He's able to kind of keep in touch a little bit, but I think as long as there's a co-opetition situation going on, we like to call it in the racing here, I think they could work together to kind of pull this off as best they can, as long as they know what each other's habits are around the track.
Yeah, and right now, and so I feel like if you're the top two, it's the easiest way to do the swap draft. I can't tell you, unfortunately, Frank Irwin has had to take a toe to pit road. Oh, a little bit of moment there out of turn one. I think that was, who's that? John Borst and Ryan Kelly, I believe. No, sorry, Nick Cohen and Ryan Kelly, apologies. That was close there at turn one. And I'm looking at the climbers right now. We mentioned Stouffer earlier. He's gained 5 spots from where he started in this race. Nick Cohen, he's up 7 spots, trying to grab number 8 from Ryan Kelly. But you can see there the momentum on the top side, and then you're going to see that draft we just talked about. He's going to have to tuck in line there in that 85 car. And then a little further back, Daniel Durazo as well in the 2. He is up 8 spots in that number 2 machine. And then right behind him, Chris Chabot up 5 spots as well in the 87. So definitely some drivers able to make some moves. But yeah, it's definitely having to be aggressive on some of these. And like I said, we got another one down the apron, hit the inside wall. I believe that maybe it is Shane Coker here. Didn't get it as bad, but I'm thinking that car's probably in a tough spot here as well now, Andrew.
I think he's pancaked both sides of the car. They're getting high up into the turn one wall on the exit and then coming down and pancaking the left side of the car as well. So I think this is going to be a fast repair situation. Gael, let me take a quick look at this car here.
And Peterson
looks like
on pit road too.
The floor is definitely damaged there on the right side, and probably I would assume the left side as well.
And I see Peterson, and I'm wondering if it's the same thing. Maybe got the wall. I feel like that do see the right side, a little bit of damage there possibly. So I'm wondering the same thing, maybe some damage, and he just said, you know what, I'm just going to go ahead and get it done now.
Yeah, I see that the floor is crinkled on Eric Peterson's car on the right side as well. I think he actually collected the wall in the previous lap.
So yeah, so the weather's definitely kicking in, and I don't know if it was a swap draft anymore. I think this is just Edson saying, I got the long run pace. You guys keep up if you can, because he has built about a second on that number 6 of Matt Wagner. Stouffer and Stockner, their fight continues on here for that 4th position as they're right on the tail of Craig Forsyth. And they've got about a second, just a little less over Tristan Forston here in that 12th machine. So right now the field definitely starting to spread out, because after that you got Gary Laverne, but then you got to go 3.5 seconds back to that number 40 of Jim Herrick. And so he's kind of leading that second half of the field, if you will. So yeah, so and also while we're looking at that, Will Stearns, he's hit pit road, and I'm again likely due to possibly some contact out of the turn. So this track definitely starting to bite here early.
At this point, you must kind of take this as a survival race, right? You're trying your best to stay in the draft, but if you're pushing it just a little too much, you may get a sort of sniff of dirty air, and next thing you know, you're finding yourself on the outside wall. And it's definitely one of those things where you have to actually tamp your pace down a little bit, which really does help save the fuel. It's a very hard thing to do as a race car driver, because you're saying, hey, I'm catching this guy, I'm catching this guy, I'm catching this guy, and next thing you know, you kind of take one turn a little bit too much, and then you find yourself in the outside wall. But at this point, we've lost, I believe Eric Schaus has left. I think he's finished, and Frank Irwin Jr. as well has said, you know what, I don't think I can continue on from this point. So we're down 2 cars right now.
Yeah, I think possibly Will Stearns as well.
Will
and
Stearns,
possibly
yes,
Eric
I believe so.
I'm on the wrong camera. There we go. So Coker's still in, Peterson's
still
still in, but yeah, it looks like, yeah, Peterson right now maybe the last car on track at the moment. But yeah, we were talking about a little earlier about Nick Cohen trying to work around Ryan Kelly. He's got that done. He's also now got Jeff Heisong. He's working on trying to be that top running car here in that second pack. Now just has Jim Herrick left to go after. And that's going to, right now, he's plus 10. This would be plus 11 if he can get around that number 40 car. So, yeah, really, really good opening stints for him. And, again, talk about the fuel mileage. Probably maybe about 10 laps, maybe a little less than that. And, again, like I'm curious about is going to be, depending on how far off the pack you are now, off the leaders, maybe consider that short pit as we're going to jump back, because here's the move on that 40 car. And I think he's going to grab that spot with ease now into turn 1. And so now you make these adjustments. You're in the dirty air all those laps here, Andrew. Now you got the clean air here. What do you got to change?
Well, this is definitely a situation where we're finding that these guys that know how to navigate the clean air and the hot weather. Christopher is someone who's raced these cars a very long time, and he understands exactly what it takes to make his way through the field, especially in these conditions. A lot of Indy 500s, a lot of tough races where you have to really make smart decisions, and you have to almost predict what the car ahead of you is doing. And sometimes when you have enough experience, you know exactly what's going on there. So from here, it's just a matter of continuing to guess the best you can. And he has managed to find himself with a comfortable spot right now where he knows how much he has to lift entering turn 1, how much he has to turn the wheel in turn 2, and what line he needs to take in turn 3 in order to exit properly. And it's very much working out for him right now. So I think this is a good move for Stouffer, but he's also going to be biding his time with a bit of the fuel save in the meantime.
Yeah, and that's the other part too, is to figure out the strategy. And like I said, I'm going to be very intrigued to see what the calls are going to be. Lap time wise, I'm curious to see about the fall off too. Doesn't look like the fall off is too terrible. I'm seeing maybe in the half-second range or so. What I have noticed is for Edson Santos here, he's caught the dirty air here of Eric Peterson. And again, for Eric, this is what he has to do because he's actually on the tail end of the lead lap where he sits. So he needs to stay after this because he doesn't want to get put that lap down. So while it's giving Edson a little bit of draft on the straightaways, he's also getting that dirty air. Oh, we saw there, I think that was Stockner caught the wall at the tunnel turn. We'll see if that was enough damage to make his life a little bit more difficult as well. And yeah, so right now it's definitely working those exits of the turns. And as I know you've got the binocular vision, Andrew, so I'll let you spy on that 124 car. But yeah, right now looking at lap times though, last time by it was Stockner. Now it's going to switch over. I believe quickest car on track is going to be, I just mentioned that 85 car, 42.87, about 2/10 almost quicker than the next car. As soon as I say that, Shankoker goes quickest, but he's on fresher tires. So, but yeah, that 85 car, I mean, he's closing that gap on these guys. He's down to about just under 3 seconds off of Gary Laverne. So 85 still going the right way here.
I think Nicholas Stockner is sort of kind of hung in there. I don't see any damage on the car. He may have gotten pretty close to a situation, but he seems to be making his way.
He's working
forward.
on trusting.
As I say that, he loses the spot as the person he was fighting there, but he's definitely held in here, and it's a much improved situation from where he felt last week, where he was stuck in a couple of sticky situations at Texas. But this is definitely a much better race for him, and it must feel good to have the track position and be able to do something with it. So I think Stouffer is going to try his best to catch up to Matt. He may be playing with fuel, but I think at this point he's just trying his best to find the right lines and be the most comfortable when he gets up to the dirty air of the car head.
Yeah, and like I said, I'm curious to see who's going to be the first to blink to hit pit road. So far, none of the leaders have. I still wonder again if maybe you run this race in reverse, or maybe again with the track temperature, maybe that fuel mileage has changed a little bit. What we can do is while we take advantage of this the run that we have going on, let's try to run through the field and show off our drivers and their awesome paint schemes. It'll be Edson Santos leading in that number 20. Right behind him, the number 6 of Matt Wagner there, our pole sitter. Up 6 spots to third is that 13 of Chris Stouffer. Behind him, Craig Forsyth in that number 99. Rounding out the top 5 is Nicholas Stockner. Did get back by that Tristan Forston driver, who is now sitting in the 6th position in his number 12 machine. Go another half a second back to Gary Laverne here as he sits in 7th. Nick Cohen mentioned him a little bit earlier there. Some big climbs on the track position for him in 8th. Jim Herrick in 9th position, up 2 spots. And Ryan Kelly sitting in the top 10 in his number 33. Back to 11th, you got the Bluey machine of Jeff Hysong, and he is under attack from John Borst in that number 86. And then you go about a little over second back is the second highest climber, Daniel Durazo here. He is up 10 spots. Chris Chabot behind him up 7. And then Wayne Campbell in the top 15. He's also up 5 spots there in the 42. Then we'll switch over to Larry Yingling in that number 67. Bill Burrell right behind him on track. And here comes the first pit stops is Tristan Forston. So you got Bill Burrell there in 17th, Bill Colley in 18th, then Robert Smith in 19th and number 98. And then Eric Peterson is the last car on the tail end of the lead lap as we run. And then Shane Coker still on track, but he is sitting, I believe, just one down. And so now we're going to jump over to the strategy time because here you go. Treston's the first one to blink here, Andrew.
It definitely seems like Treston wants to get in on the early side. He wants the fresh tires, the clean air, anything he could do. He's going to come out on the lead lap, not going to have anyone driving around him. So I think that this is going to be the catalyst to get other people to pit as well. But right now, Treston just wants a caution. He wants to see a caution in the next 2 to 3 laps or so, because that'll just give him all the track position that he's wanted without having to do anything with any cars around him. So that's what he's hoping for right now. You pit a little early, you kind of go off strategy a little bit, as we see Matt Wagner and
Stockner
Jim
and
Herrick
Herrick too.
and Stockner are also coming in. So they're definitely reacting to Treston's pit there. They say, okay, we're not going to let this guy get ahead with the lead. We're going to make sure that we cover ourselves, but this is going to hurt you later in the race if you have to do a long stint. Say there is no caution at all. So this is a little bit of a risky strategy, but I think they're playing with the fact that, hey, we have a 24-car field right now. There will be a caution at some time, and then we'll all just get back on sequence again. So this is very smart on Matt Wagner's part to react to the cars behind so that they don't get the track position later.
Yeah, and critically, like you mentioned too, staying on the lead lap. The one driver that did pit that is trapped down a lap at the moment is that 40 of Jim Herrick. He is behind Edson Santos, and again, Edson's still in that dirty air of Eric Peterson. Treston Forsten did get out in front of Peterson. Stockner there is also there, and I feel like Stockner actually, I'm going to say net gain, actually big net gain over Matt Wagner. I'm looking at the pit lane times here. It was 44.33 for Matt Wagner. It was 42.77 for Stockner, over a second and a half less time in pit lane. And that's why you can see that 124 right on the gearbox, pretty much Matt Wagner's. We got more pit stops here. Jeff Heisong has come in, and he is out now. Edson Santos in, Nick Cohan in, Ryan Kelly, Daniel DeRozzo, Chris Chabot. So it's pretty much feeding time here on pit road.
I am watching Nicholas Stockner's pit in, and I do not know how that he did not get a speeding penalty on his pit in. That was a almost perfectly executed pit in moment. So that's where that extra time, or the less time on pit road came from, is that Wagner was way ahead of him, and he managed to just squeeze in a nice pit entry to get himself just up there. And I think that's all the difference it makes. But it's a very risky situation. Now, I wanted to say that Pocono is definitely one of those tracks where you can't really undercut anyone to great effect, because once you pit, then everybody else is going to pit along with you. There's no advantage of staying out because you're not putting anybody a lap down like we see on our other tracks. So it becomes a situation where, hey, like if I stay out, I'm just going to fall to the back of the field anyway. And if you don't want to take that risk. So that's why we're kind of seeing everyone come in right now. And I think at this point, we've basically committed everybody to a 3-stop strategy. And there may be a couple drivers that pit early that may have to pit on the 4-stop if we say 3 the entire way. But this is Area 51. We see at least one caution per race. So I don't see that happening, but the early pit stoppers do put themselves at a slight disadvantage.
Yeah, and that's what I'm curious to see. So Larry Yingling, he's been the one to stretch the field the best. He's going to jump in now. He's going to be coming around. This will be the start of lap 28 when he crosses the line. So he's going to give up that top spot there, and that's going to hand it back to Edson. But look who's in the picture, though, now, Andrew. Chris Stouffer, he ran the fastest lap of the race last lap, 42.48, and he is in the draft now of that number 20 car. So another great pit stop for him, too. And I talked about the pit lane time. We talked about the 42.77 for Stockner, 42.43 for Stouffer. So he was even 0.3 quicker than Stockner, who we saw had a huge pit entry. So really, really good job by that 13 getting everything in and out of pit road.
It definitely seems like Stouffer managed to get that clean air, and he was making his way through the field and trying his best to get ahead of some of these guys that were actually maybe running a little bit slower, maybe saving it a little bit of fuel, but it didn't matter for Stouffer. He was going full blast, and he pit just the right time where he knew exactly where he needed to pit to get out right ahead of Wagner. And it looks like he's actually put such a gap on Wagner now that I think Wagner's just trying to figure out exactly where his momentum is.
Yeah, right now I'm at about 1.6 off of Stouffer at the moment. Last time by was actually Daniel DeRozzo, who just set the fast lap of the race, as Ryan Kelly, Jim Herrick battle side by side. And after everything cycled, right now Eric Peterson is in the top 10 and 9th, but again, He is about 14 laps off sequence. So you mentioned drivers that are going to have to take that extra stop. I think for sure Peterson's going to be one of those. So he's going to be banking on that yellow. Saw in the background there, Durazo got really close to the wall there out of turn 1. But right now the field's definitely starting to get that stretched out motion that we talked about, where if they get the pit stop in, they're going to have that kind of that spread out feel. And so right now this group right here, Peterson and Kelly, Durazo as well as Chris Jabot, these are kind of the closest cars on track to one another in about that 2/3 of a second range, as you can see the two trying to put some pressure on that 87, see if he can get that 13th spot.
Actually, it seemed that a couple laps ago, Nicholas Stockner actually touched the apron in turn 2 there, entering the tunnel, and he had a mega save. So that could have been our first caution right there, Gael, but it seemed like everyone got through that just good enough.
Yeah, so let's actually go back. So I think I can catch it here. Oh my goodness, yeah, it's already happening. So let's back it up, and you're right. I don't know how he hangs onto that car. So we're gonna watch Nicholas here. And so he's going to come in, like you mentioned, he's going to just catch right there, left sides below. We know these cars do not like banking transition, and he is straight drifting this car through the tunnel turn, and then he's able to grab it and keep it pointing in the right direction just as it starts to cut back the other way. I mean, I can pretty much guarantee you, I think I saw Craig slow it down to make sure he didn't get into him, and then Tresson also able to get back by, but what a save by Nicholas Stockner. That is some really, really good hands, as we have a good three-way battle here with Eric Peterson, Ryan Kelly, and Jim Herrick. These are 9th, 10th, and 11th on track here for position. Jump a little further forward. I think Stockner, he's kind of regained some confidence and probably regained some tire temperatures back in that car. I'm sure that tire was very angry, that right rear especially, and so he's getting back after it there in that number 124, trying to put pressure back on the 12 of Tresson Forston, and so down to about just a couple of tenths there, about 3-4 tenths, and then back to this group here. Now it's Herrick going after Peterson again. Peterson on about 10 lap older tires than these guys. So it also does show that there is something to be said about fresher tires. It does seem like that 36 doesn't quite have the pace of Ryan Kelly and Jim Herrick with those fresher tires. And then you got Jeff Heisong trying to tag onto this group as well. So right now I think that does tell you also strategy-wise, if you can go to a little longer, might have some better tires. So I'll have to keep an eye on that as we go back for that fight for a position for that top 5 with Tresson Forston and Nicholas Stockner. So right now, and for a moment, Andrew's going to step out for a second. He's trying to fix some hardware issues. So he'll be back here shortly. But yeah, so right now, I said this is a really good battle between these two. You can see there the 124 went back and kind of just, again, turn 3 is a little different, obviously, than turn 2, the tunnel turn. A lot less banking, so he can cheat that yellow line just a little bit more than you can and get away with it. And so right now, that 124 is trying to get everything he can. We'll hop on that roll bar hoop. Watch what he can do here behind the wheel. You see that, right there you saw Tresson got way high, caught the wall just a tiny bit. I think he'll get away with it, but here's the momentum shift. Is it enough to make a move in the tunnel turn? Yes, he's going to take a look here, and we'll see if he can complete the pass. And yes, he will also move Nicholas back up into that top 5 after that amazing save a few laps ago, going back after that top 5 spot. Jump back over here. Daniel Durazo, another one of these drivers making some big moves. He's trying to peek to the inside of Jeff Heisong in that number 18 as he's going to get side by side. There's Peterson back into pits again. That's a scheduled stop for Peterson. He had to pit off sequence by about 10 laps, so this is his scheduled second stop again. Probably going to have to make an extra one. He's hoping for a timely caution for him. I don't believe he'll stay in the lead lap, though, after the cycle is done, but right there, you saw Durazo get just a wing full of dirty air off the 18 there, and so he's going to lose just a couple of tenths here after that. Up front, though, you see Edson. Even with the lead, he does not want to risk that draft, so he's trying to keep as low as he can, try to keep Stouffer out of that window. Right now, it's about a 1.6 second margin, which is pretty much right at the edge of that draft window, so we'll have to keep an eye on that and see how the intervals are going. But right now, looking at lap times, the fastest 2 cars on track that last lap were Edson with the 42.82, Matt Wagner also a 42.82, then Gary Laverne, Nick Cohan, respectively 42.84s. So right on top of those laps, and then a little further back, actually, some 42.70s. Wayne Campbell, Larry Yingling, some good laps for those guys. Again, Larry, one of those drivers that he went the farthest of everybody on fuel, so he does have just a little extra tire than the other guys. And also we'll see maybe can shorten that final stop like Andrew mentioned earlier. Field starting to kind of accordion back together. Here goes Durazo again. Going to try to take a look here entering turn 1. See if he can get around that 18 of Jeff Heisong. It looks like he will complete the pass. You can see Heisong, he's going to fight hard on the top side. Cannot quite clear him. He's going to stay to the inside line. These guys are going to go back side by side here, entering that tunnel turn. Now it's just who's going to blink first and see if they're going to stay side by side. They will stay side by side. That's going to give plenty of momentum to Chris Jabot. John Borst, you can see that gap closing quickly with those two going side by side as they head into the tunnel turn into 3. As they continue, now it does look like Jeff Heisong going to hang on to it. So again, right now, very, very tough fights for these guys just outside the top 10 here. Durazo tried to send it into turn number 1. Couldn't quite get it to fully stick on and clear. Oh, I think the 87 maybe caught the wall out the background there. We saw that out of turn 1. I think looks like he's okay. Saved it really well there. When you ever see a car kind of pan across the screen that quickly, you always get a little nervous, but looks like no worse for wear in that 87 of Chris Jabot. Like you mentioned, teammate John Borst right behind him. As again, the 18 and the 2, they just right now cannot stop this fight between the two of them. And that's been great news for Ryan Kelly, because now Ryan's been able to kind of sneak away, break out of their draft here. As we'll jump a little further forward, because here comes Gary Laverne. Haven't talked about Gary a ton yet, but now he's working on Tristan Forston. He's bringing Nick Cohan along with him as well. This is going to try to get Gary one spot closer to that top 5. Looks like he will grab that spot into the tunnel turn. And we'll see if that 85 car can return the favor as well and join that group to get one more spot forward, as he's going to go low in 3. But he's going to get that arrow wash off the 34. We saw him running pretty much the same lane. And yeah, there you go. You could see Tristan get the momentum out of that third turn.
I am back, Gael. I had a little bit of an issue there, but what have I missed so far? Anything anything crazy?
The accordion is starting to bring itself back together. We're starting to see the long run versus the short run stuff. And Edson's been able to sneak away from Stouffer by about 2.5, almost 3 seconds now. Matt Wagner had closed the gap over to Stouffer, but it's starting to go back, and I think same thing. Now he's in that dirty air of Eric Peterson, who say he's pitting on his sequence, obviously off sequence from the leaders, and so Matt's kind of trapped there, and that's brought Craig right back into the mix. Stockner's great recovery. He's got back by Tristan Forston, and then that's also now actually added a few to the mix here. Gary Laverne, he got by Tristan.
Ooh.
And what we got?
I just saw Edson had some contact with a lap car there. I believe that was
that would be Will
Robert
Stearns,
Smith.
maybe? Oh, Robert Smith, yeah.
Robert Smith, yeah. Edson took quite a lick in the turn 3 wall there as I was just checking my cameras back.
Let's go back, see if we can take a look here. Did I go
in
too
turn
far
3
back? Trying to see if I went far enough back. Or no, he's already passed him here. So let's go a little further back here.
That was end of lap 39.
39, I say. Yeah, we'll jump back live here. So I'm not sure if won't be able to jump as easily through, but you're right, though. That's made a huge difference because, man, Stouffer is there and then some. I'm trying to see if I can jump back by laps or not. So right now, I get to see it by events, unfortunately.
Yes, of course. Yeah, it was 3 laps ago. I think he was coming up on a lapped car in turn 3 there. And
Craig had a moment there.
There was a little bit of a confusion moment. I think Robert was trying to let him go on the outside, but Edson turned down into the side of him and kind of turned out of it and smacked the outside wall, and then they wound up making contact on the exit of the corner as well. So, yeah, it doesn't seem to have damaged the car too bad. I could see that Edson's floor looks pretty good still, so I don't think that's going to be a big problem for now.
Yeah, you're right. I think it's just probably momentum loss. If anything, that's just kind of brought Stouffer back into the tow. Because I was looking at lap times, and he had a 45 second, then a 44. So now he's back in the 43s and able to stretch it again a little bit there. But yeah, no, we've had some good little fights here. Look at this gaggle we got right now at the 18, the 87, the 86, and now the 42 and the 67. Let's hop on the roof here on the roll bar camera. Oh, we got trouble there. I think that may have been, is that John Borst? It was. He is up in the outside wall here and into the, that's going to be a guaranteed tow for him. Let's go back. I'm just going to try to catch where this all occurred because they were going for that same fight there as well. And so we're going to switch over to the 86.
There was a contact with Chris Chabot, it looks like, on the exit of turn 1.
Wonder if he got into... Oh, yeah, Chris catches the wall. John tries to react. And with Chris bouncing down there, it actually is unfortunate. The two teammates catch each other. And I mean, you could see the front wheels of that 86 car just up in there. There's nothing John can do at that point. So also likely damage as well for the 87. And unrelated, but I'm also showing Treston here on pit road, and I think that's a scheduled stop if I'm not mistaken for him. So we'll keep an eye. Yeah, he's already down and away. So I think possibly in that pit window here for that second stop. Again, I think Treston was the first to come in last time, so this does make sense for him. As we'll jump back a little further back here, as now you've got Larry Yingling now trying to work over Wayne Campbell. As again, that 4 or 5 car battle we had there now down to these two here, as the 18's been able to sneak away a little bit. So just how quick, unfortunately, things can change. One little hiccup, unfortunately, can really shake things up, as you see. And this is a tough part too, is that exit of the pit road here. You can speak to as well, Andrew. Used to be you had to run the apron all the way through until they out of turn 1. Now they have you merge into the entry of turn 1. As a driver that's still on track, you see that guy trying to merge onto the track. I mean, is that unnerving for you? Hoping like, okay, just make sure you hang it down on the inside line, or what are you doing when you see that car coming up on you?
Yeah, you have to have a lot of trust on the cars that are coming out of the pit lane that they're able to stay on their low line, and it's very, very easy when you're coming out of the pits at such a low speed to hang down there. So that's not really the big problem. It's just a matter of, hey, does my car behave well in the middle? Like if you were by yourself taking the low line and now there's a car there, you have to adjust a little bit. You're kind of praying that the car reacts the same if you do a little bit of an earlier lift and kind of ride around the middle lane there. So that's the only concern. It's more of a concern to yourself than a concern to the other driver to see if the car is working as well as you hope it will and you don't lose time to the car ahead. So it can be a little bit panicky, but it's not such a big deal where you feel like you're going to lose a lot of time.
And you can see things have definitely regrouped for Edson. He's been able to put some big laps down. He is now up to about 2.5 seconds once more here. Stouffer's got a little bit of lap traffic in front of him, and that's actually that 12 of Treston Forston, who actually last time by here, Treston ran the fastest lap of the race, a 42.31. So saying that's about 7/10, actually almost 8/10 quicker nearly than Edson. So again, talk about tires do seem to play a role in this thing. There is definitely pace to be found once you start to get in. Yeah, I think Stouffer, I think this is the right call for Stouffer and Wagner, because for Stouffer especially, he was just in that dirty air, like he was going to be stuck behind that car. So come in now, try to put yourself back in some clean air, and he's brought some friends along, like you mentioned. Wagner's in, Stockner's in, Herrick's coming in as well, Haisung in as well. So it's that second window here definitely opened up here.
Well, let me ask you, Gael, I had those hardware issues. I didn't see the actual pass for the lead on Stouffer. Did Edson have a better pit stop, or did he just manage to track him down and pass him?
I know actually. I think Edson hung onto the lead through the pit stop cycle. Stouffer got close to him, but not enough to actually jump him. I think that's how it's stayed so far. So, but yeah, now I'm curious to see now on the reaction here. Again, it was about a 2-second margin if I'm not mistaken. So we'll see what that changes as Santos and Gary Laverne are both in as well. That's going to leave just a handful left to run their stints out here. Craig Forsyth, Nick Cohan, Ryan Kelly, Daniel Durazo, Wayne Campbell, and Larry Yingling will be the remaining drivers still to pit. But yeah, what I want to do is, like you just mentioned, I want to see where does Edson roll out in relation to Stouffer in the 13. And this is also going to be a little tricky. I mean, look right there. He's going to roll out. He's going to have Bill Colley in front of him here. And so you can see him building up speed there. I see Stouffer in the background. Again, he's going full 210 at this point. So he's not going to get around him, but I think, again, should get a fair bit closer than that 2-ish seconds he was before. But then that said, though, he's going to get some nice clean air off that number 31 car.
This is definitely one of those interesting situations because we were talking in the pre-race about how you could pit at Pocono and still stay on the lead lap, but that's only if you're 5 or 6 seconds behind the leader.
Yep.
Because we've had such of this string out situation, now we're seeing this situation like we were just talking about a couple minutes ago, where cars are exiting the pits right in front of other cars in turn 1. We saw Craig Forsyth and Stockner dealing with that a little bit ago, and it's almost like, okay, I'm still out here on the track, but the car behind me is now going 6/10 faster a lap than me, and that's what brought Stover in the case of him and Fortson. And it's a little bit different situation when you're trying to pit and stay on the lead lap. That's not really the case for many cars right now.
Yeah, and I don't think it's going to make I wouldn't say make a difference, but it's not going to cut a pit stop out. But again, I'm very intrigued right now. Wayne Campbell still going on here. We're on down to 45 to go, lap 51 here. So he and Larry Yingling continuing on here, as well as the one I'm really curious about is Bill Burrell. He pitted on lap 25, and he's been able to stretch it this far to 50, coming to 51 there as well. So that's a really good fuel run for him. So again, nobody's going to stretch it to cut a pit stop out, but you had mentioned maybe shortening a pit stop. That could cut a good chunk of it out here. So Wayne Campbell, Larry Yingling, they are now the remaining 2 to pit. Here comes Wayne as we speak. He's going to hit pit road for his second scheduled stop. Gets down nice and clean there for his entry. That's going to hand it over to that 67 car of Larry Yingling. Again, Larry's going on the fuel stretch approach here because, again, you don't know. And like you mentioned, too, you can get extended lead lap. Just depends on where you're on track. And so I'm waiting for timing scoring to update. But I believe Larry's got pretty much up to the top, 17th place on back R trapped a lap down at the moment. So not as many as you'd hope for the gamble, but again, I mean, I think for Larry, it's worth trying here because, again, you'll be off sequence. Maybe they all pit, then you can stay out. There's a lot of things that could happen, but based on the car position, I'd say Larry's going to hop in this time by in that 67, and so he's going to make his pit entry here.
This is a very interesting fuel strategy situation we have going on here because we're going to have a situation where we have cars pitting maybe 6 to 8 laps apart, and that's going to really have a difference on, do you want to take tires in the last stop and shorten your pit stop, or do you want to do a full tire run? Because that could save you 3 to 4 seconds here. And if you're used to how the car feels on the old tires, and you could save a couple seconds on your pit stop, and it's only 7-8 laps to go, it may be something that's worth it, especially when you know it's very, very difficult to pass someone here.
Yeah, and I'm watching the pit stop cycles. We talked about the drivers kind of merging back together. I mean, you got these 4 now together: Stockner, Forston, Cohen, and Laverne, all within about a second of one another here. And also looking at the pit stop laps, very different though. Forston lap 43, Stockner 47 in front of him. Cohen 49, as I say that he's going to dive low again. He's got about 5 lap fresher tires, and you can see how easy he made that look, and he's going to get a great run here out of 3-2. Might be able to get a 2 for 1 here through 3 and 4 and 1 and 2. And you can actually see, interesting there is the 124 stays on the inside line there. Nick's going to try to swing around the top, and looks like he'll complete the pass and keep that momentum up, importantly. So move Nick now up into the top 5, 14 positions gained. Again, so far caution free. So, I mean, that's some really, really tough work to do. As we've seen, it's been tough to pass here tonight.
Yeah, it's definitely tough to tell what strategy is really going to pay off here. And we still haven't had a caution yet, which is very, very unlike the Area 51 crew. We usually get some caution by halfway, at least one. So this is great on the drivers tonight to be within their means. We've had a couple incidents, but nothing that's brought out a caution so far. So good on these drivers for knowing their limits, and especially we have much of the field that's brand new to the series. So it's very, very good to see that these guys are starting to get used to racing around each other, which is very, very good for competition's sake, but also good for trying to actually learn how to plan your strategy accordingly.
Yeah, I mean, this is definitely one that you're going to kind of do a lot of notebook afterwards. As I say that, can Stockner hold? No, he's not. That's going to, their commentators jinx strikes again.
Oh, no,
as it's going to be Stockner through the tunnel turn and then collects Forston. Unfortunately, that will be the first yellow. And I'd say 2 of our drivers just outside the top 10. And we saw the save he made earlier. Unfortunately, couldn't quite do it again. We'll go back and we'll take a look, and you'll see exactly what we just talked about, Andrew. And that's just unfortunate. Just he caught that yellow line here on the entry, and tried so hard to see if you can see right there, both tires easily underneath it, and pretty much the exact same drift you saw earlier.
It's the same exact touch the curb.
The only difference there is he just didn't cut the wheel back lift quite quick enough, and then just unfortunate for Treston, nowhere for him to go. And so unfortunately those are the two involved, and I mean it wouldn't be Green White Checker TV if we didn't have some sort of commentator's curse, because that's just,
I should have stayed with a hardware problem,
by law. So no worries there. So but now again though, I still think this brings out some very interesting strategies here. I'm sure Edson's thinking, oh man, why, this is so good for me. But I'm looking at the guys that are off sequence now, like I said. I mean, and also Eric Peterson, he's back in this now. He's going to be in 8th position. He has a chance now to get back on cycle with these guys. He'll go ahead and pit. Shane Coker as well, as he was one of those guys that had to pit early because of his contact and making it back to pit road. Still on the lead lap in 15th position, so great opportunities for those two. I believe first car one down is going to go to Bill Colley, so he should get the wave by. And, here we go. Some games being played. They're going to stay out. Others are going to come in. So we're going to have the tires versus track position decision-making happening here. But I can tell you Bill's going to be the one to get waved on by here. You can see the leaders moving on over for him. And that's a tough break, though, for some of those drivers that were also trapped a lap down. Bill Burrell, he opted to go ahead and stay out in the 21, but still a lap down. The other drivers trapped a lap down will be Robert Smith, John Borst, and Treston Forston, who has just now made it back to pit road. Actually, I think he's had to take a tow, if I'm not mistaken. Trying to take a better look at that car. And so I think Treston had to take a tow. I saw it was actually the 124 there. Somehow Stockner made it back to pit road and is going to wind up restarting in the top 10 still. So not sure how he hung on to that car here, but what we will do, though, since we did go caution-free over half the race here, let's take a quick break. We got to show off our awesome sponsor in that number 40 car, Jim Herrick in 40 Racewear, with all the products they have to offer. So stay tuned. We'll be right back.
40 Racewear, makers of the ultimate sim racing shoes and custom apparel designed for sim racing. 40 Racewear, makers of the ultimate sim racing shoes and custom apparel designed for sim racing by sim racers. 40 racing shoes are engineered to connect racers to the pedals in a way no other racing shoe can, all the while giving you the comfort needed to complete those double and triple stints. Visit 40racewear.com and check out the latest sim racing products that let you connect to your sim.
All right, lights are off. Pace car is in. Well, pace car is off and running over towards the tunnel turn. Drivers are starting to build up that gap that we've talked about previously. But Andrew, I'll say it's going to be the talk is going to be strategy now. So you've got Edson pitting on 48, all the way back to Wayne Cameron on 42. He pitted at lap 51. Those drivers did not pit. Matt Wagner, the first of those on the 4 fresh tires, pitting at lap 56. So he's got about an 8-lap margin over Edson, about a 5-lap margin over Wayne Campbell in front of him, and then everybody else on back, as we mentioned, went ahead and pitted. Larry Yingling did top off on that one to go in the 67 car. As we also mentioned there, the wave round did go to, where's Bill Colley? There's Bill Colley, our wave round car, back on the lead lap, if I'm not mistaken. Yes, he is. And then a few top-offs as well for those drivers that are trapped a lap down. I think that's the right call for them. Just run it as far as you can, save fuel, I think, and then maybe if there's a time of caution in the pit cycle. So we'll have to see if that comes into play. But now, handing it over to Edson. Here he goes. He's going to kind of do that apex steer through 3 as we're going to bring it back to green here.
Very clean restart through the field here. Looks like everyone got the message, and we're back to a situation where we can get everyone sorted properly. But as I mentioned in the pre-race, we got a lot of action down the front straightaway there. People know they can't make those passes in the pack, so it's going to be all about the starts and the restarts. And looks like our first move here was actually by Cohan, moving ahead of Gary Laverne, I think that is. Down the back straightaway, you have a lap car that's kind of pulling over a little bit. Hopefully he stays down low. Everyone's kind of minding the pacing cue there. And Eric Peterson gets very close to the outside wall there, but we're all clean through the restart lap here, and we got a battle for the lead.
Yes, and I think it's exactly what you said. Stouffer said, I cannot wait. I don't want to risk that number 20 car getting away again. So he is on it here, and said if there's somebody that's aggressive on the restarts, I feel like Stouffer is definitely top of the list there in that 13. He's going to have to try to do the crossover here out of the turn 1. Oh, a little bit of contact possibly there. That was close between the 20 and the 13 there.
Very, very close racing, but very, very fair racing at the same time. And that's a lot of respect given between two drivers that know they can follow close to one another. So Stouffer and Santos are doing the over-under situation, trying to find the best line possible. I think Santos might have the line here. He's pinching Stouffer on the exit, but Stouffer hangs on. And Stouffer's going to have the long run down the front straightaway here.
Now, I was going to ask you, is this the turn where you want to be on the outside through turn 3 to get that momentum all the way down the front stretch or not? So now we'll see. This is pretty much exactly what we just saw a moment ago here, that previous lap. This time, though, you see Edson, he's going to hang the inside there, put Stouffer back to the outside as they head into the tunnel turn one more time. But yeah, these guys are definitely racing hard, but like you said, giving themselves just enough room here. And that's going to allow some of these guys to hang into the mix a little longer, I feel like, too. This is going to be burning those tires up a little bit. So I think Craig Forsyth, Nick Cohen, they're probably really liking what they see right now. The longer those two, I think, stay side by side or fighting as hard as they are, it's going to wear their tires more. That's going to give some more opportunities. And then we just talked about as well the strategy here, Andrew. So do we treat this final pit stop like a road course? Do you pit as soon as you're in your window, or what do you want to do if you're behind the wheel here?
I'm still wondering if you want an answer to your first question about what side of the track you want to be on. But I think we actually watched exactly that's going on there. I actually had the thought that you want to be on the outside, especially on a hot track like this. But it looks like Santos had the advantage for a bit, but once Santos got the advantage, Stouffer decided to over-under him, and now he has the inside. So I think it's just an early tire advantage situation here, and Santos is doing the same thing to Stouffer right now. So I think you want the inside as long as you can get the advantage down the front straightaway where you can start to snake a little bit, and it'll kind of go from there. But I think later on, I think you want to ride that outside. And now I'm trying to remember what the other thing you asked me was about pit strategy.
When do you pit here?
Yeah, so as long as you're close to the leader, kind of like we were mentioning, as the stint wore on, everybody sort of started to spread out a little bit, and people were starting to get lapped. I think as long as you're within 3-4 seconds of the leader and you're saying, hey, I can't make up any more spots, I think you want to pit to make sure you get that track position later on in the stint. You're not going to lose anything because you're going to be by yourself in clean air getting a lot of good lap time. So I think you definitely want to pit as soon as you know you can make it to the finish here.
Really good battle here as well. Daniel DeRozzo, Gary Laverne here. And I feel like Daniel kind of stalled out, honestly, a little earlier once he got to about that top 10 or so. But same thing, I think this caution really breathed life into that number 2 car. He's now up into the top 5. So also same thing, really some drivers benefiting from this. I'm going to definitely add the 2 to that mix as well. But man, I've been watching Edson and Stouffer, though. I mean, they have been fighting, and I've been watching as well for Edson. He's definitely been doing some times where he'll change his lane a little bit and try to make it difficult for Christopher to follow him.
Exactly.
Or Stouffer maybe wants to run the top side, and Daniel's like, okay, or Edson, I'm sorry, is like, hey, all right, I'm going to run middle top 2. he gets all that dirty air and has to adjust. And right here, this is exactly what I was saying there. Didn't go down to the inside line probably like Chris was thinking he would. That gives him all that dirty air. He has to roll out of the throttle, and that gives Edson here just a little extra breathing room, and you can see that brought Craig right to him.
That's exactly what I was trying to talk about before. You kind of play the chicken of going on the inside line for a while, but eventually the tires are going to start to wear off where you can't hang on the outside line unless you have such a big run. So whoever wins out when the tires start to really wear off is going to start doing this situation where you're starting to snake down the straightaways, and in this case it was Edson. So we're going to go back to a different strategy now, and just what we were talking about before, Gael, it's going to be about when you know you could pit and make the end of the race. These guys up at the front will know exactly how much fuel they're burning, how much fuel they need to the end of the race, and they're going to make sure they're the first ones in there. But it's going to bring everybody else in, kind of like we saw in the first stint.
Yeah, and I think for this one, again, with that potential risk of a yellows, we got a great fight here with the two drivers that I talked about.
Laverne.
Yeah, and these guys have had such high climbs to the field, plus 15, plus 18 respectively. And so now they battle side by side again, kind of shows that they've been able to work through the dirty air. And then again, some drivers that kind of got that new lease on life. Eric Peterson, now he's up into the 12th position. Again, he was off sequence earlier. Wayne Campbell as well. Remember, he is one of those guys that did not pit. He's still holding on to the top 10 in that 9th position. He was on lap 51. And so now I'm looking for those that did pit on the yellow. Currently, the furthest up here is Matt Wagner, and it's not by a ton. I don't think he's really gained much since this restart. The big change will be, though, I think, is, again, maybe how much less fuel can he throw in that 6 car. Oh, we got, as I said, Eric Peterson. He's stuck up against the outside wall. He's going to try to keep it there. You see everybody making quick adjustments to try to get around him. He's holding against that wall to try to avoid anybody getting into him. Now he pulls it off the wall. So, unfortunately, there's my commentator's curse there. Peterson, I'm sorry, sir. As we'll jump back up front, because now it is Stouffer under attack from Craig Forsyth. And again, talk about drivers loving that. That is exactly what Edson wants to see in his mirror.
This is actually very, very interesting, because this is the opposite of what we saw with Stouffer at the start of the race, where he was climbing a bunch of spots and really trying to get the advantage. And now we saw him battling Edson, falling back a little bit. And now we see Stouffer starting to fall into the clutches of Forsyth, who is now past him. And I'm sure Chris Stouffer is sitting here saying, "What did I do wrong? I thought I was actually in a halfway decent situation where I was making up a lot of spots at the start." But you know what, Gael? I'm looking at the side pod right now, and there is a crinkle on that side pod. So I'm wondering if he had a visit to the wall somewhere, and now he's losing a little bit of speed.
Yeah, you're right. I see that right side. Oh, as we said, the caution is out. And it's going to be the 87 Chris Chabot. He is up and over here in that car. That's obviously going to unfortunately have to be a tow for him. And he was in the top 15, so I'll have to go check, see what happened to the 87 car here. And so you can kind of see he's got, I think that's Shane Coker to his inside. So let's take a look as they head into turn number 1. I'm wondering if we're going to see just maybe some aero wash here, or maybe drivers going for the same real estate there. It's hard to say. That angle doesn't really tell us much. Actually, probably had it saved in that little bit of net code, unfortunately. Unfortunately, just throws them up into the outside wall. So I'm going to take one more peek at this here and see if we can find a better angle on this one as well, as we'll try to see if we can. Honestly, I don't know if you were able to see anything more obvious from your point of view here.
I'm actually watching it right now. I was looking at the Stouffer situation before, but as I see this, it looks
I feel
very
like,
much like there's a net code, little bit of a hit there.
I kind of feel like from where I'm sitting, like I think if you're the 87, you probably think that the car inside of you is going to be turning in sooner. From what I saw there, that's my guess again. But what's going to happen here though is well, actually, I'll see what were you able to catch actually first for Stouffer.
Yeah, I saw that he had a visit to the outside wall exiting turn 1 on lap 67. So that was about 4 laps ago. And that's the lap that I saw Forsyth going after him. So I think Stouffer overestimated his exit speed on turn 1 after having such a good run coming through the field and knowing exactly what the car needed, especially in the hotter temperatures. So Stouffer now has some side pod damage. So if anyone's going to pit right now, I feel like he should try and pit now. And and get that fixed because he knows he has no speed. Get that fast repair done, and then start to save fuel from here and see where it leads him later on.
I think we might see. I was curious to see, is anybody stay out or not?
We're going to have some stay outs.
So Bill Burrell's going to get his wave around here. That's a great break for Bill. And we're also going to see, and I think this is 100% the right call, you're going to see John Borst, he's going to stay out, and Robert Smith as well. This will put both of those cars back on the lead lap. So, again, they're off sequence on fuel now, but I can also tell you that the 86 was one of those drivers that he did top off on that one to go. So he's probably been fuel saving. The 98 also pitted on 55, so same thing. But yeah, so now we're going to switch back over to the pit exit, and it looks like, is it Stover? It was Edson. Okay. It was close there. And so, yeah, so really I'm going to say net wash for unfortunately for Matt Wagner. He had a slightly shorter pit stop, but not by much, but he is going to come out in the 5th spot here. And now the important question though here, Andrew, is let's look at that side pod here of that 13 car. It's looking pretty clean. I think that's probably fast repair done.
Definitely a situation where we're seeing that Stover can't really continue on in this situation without losing some spots. So you have to come in and get that repair, and then just kind of take whatever the strategy is going forward.
Yeah, so now, like I said, I think we talked about 23, 24 laps, kind of full send would be the fuel window. So I think now, honestly, I think everybody's good to the end, which is, to me, going to kind of open up that other can of worms now at this point. So that's going to be the interesting part here, as well as going to be, if you know you can make it, it's still a full fuel run. So tires are going to play a role in a track position, obviously going to be huge as well. A little surprised. I really thought somebody that pitted that previous lap, or caution like a Matt Wagner, I was thinking, do you think fuel only would have been a good call for him? I thought that maybe could propel him up into that top spot potentially.
I think that could have happened, but unfortunately, that's a tricky situation because you have to kind of decide actually what the car ahead of you is doing, or what the cars ahead of you are trying to figure out. So I think it could have worked out if it was planned correctly, but it's definitely a tough one.
You saw right there the 86 and the 98 going on by the pace car, getting their lap back. So again, they stayed out, leaders all pitted, so they were able to cycle around the pace car on that one to go. So that again is going to leave us now with, I believe, 18 cars on the lead lap. I think unfortunately that's evening over as well for Eric Peterson. Yeah, I can confirm it is also evening over for the 87 of Chris Jabot. So 18 cars left in the race, 18 on the lead lap here. And pretty much all but those two that stayed out for the wave round, everybody's good to go to fuel on the end. And I think we can know that for sure as well, Andrew, because nobody topped off. So I think there's no question on fuel. These guys are going to be map one to the end here.
It's definitely a situation where you say, okay, this is the perfectly timed yellow where we can get actually going and try and figure out exactly how we get by these guys ahead of us to make sure that we get this done on one more stop and find yourself in the best spot. But I do notice that the temperature has cooled slightly since the start of the race, so that may make a little bit better situation for some side-by-side racing, but still a little bit undetermined at this time.
And the other thought I have is, so those two drivers that just got the wave rounds there, the 86 and the 98, the field's going to be the most packed up it's going to be here in this restart. They're short on fuel. Do you pit here and just take fuel, or maybe even tires and fuel, because you won't go that lap down and now you're on sequence with the field? You don't have to bank on a yellow and all that. I mean, do you think if you're in that position, do you just jump in now?
It's very risky because you still need to be about 5 or 6 seconds behind the leaders, and once you start to kind of file your way into the pit lane, you could find yourself with any sort of bobble that puts you right in front of the leaders when you come out of the pit lane. So I wouldn't do that if it were me, especially if you got the wave around. Just hope for a quick caution that you could do it in a situation afterwards. It could work out, but it also could just put you right back where you were again.
Yeah, so there were no takers, so that question's been answered. And yeah, you mentioned potential quick caution. I mean, you see what I'm seeing right now, Andrew. I mean, like I said,
it's the time to make moves.
Yeah, there's like I said, there's nothing being held back now. These guys are going to go for it all. Ooh, I think I saw one maybe just catch the wall a little bit out of turn. Looks like everybody's okay. But yeah, you're right though. Now everybody's going to making those moves, and you saw right there. I think again, the Edson Santos trying to predict where is Stouffer going to run. He chose the high side. That's where Stouffer went. And so now he's trying to keep these two side by side as best he can for his own sake as well, to try to run away a little bit. But then again, Daniel Durazo, he's now in the picture solidly in that 4th position.
Looks like the leader has done the usual of kind of taking off, but it looks like we have some action actually going on for P3 here. Looks like, wow, that's a great move by Daniel Durazo on the outside. Wow, that was very close on Craig Forsyth's right front there, but he gets the position.
Like you said, it's time to go. You got to make the moves. And I mean, we've seen Durazo. We know he has the pace. It's been the having the luck at the end to get to the end of these things. So yeah, so big move by him, because he, like you said, this is the time to go. You got to get what you can while the tires are fresh, because then it starts to get really strung out here. So at the moment right now, like I said, he's now already, you got Stouffer now working on Edson. This is exactly what Daniel Durazo wants to see, because now they're going to have that big fight here down the straightaway leading into the tunnel turn. Oh, I think Bill Cawley had a moment there in the background. He's okay, though, as we continue on here. Next time by, though, Andrew,
wow.
20 to go. Oh, man.
My goodness, Matt Wagner and Nicholas, I think that's Cohan. Yeah, Cohan had a very close moment in turn 2 there. I think some contact was made, but both cars happened to make it through it. I am surprised there was not a wreck there.
So we'll try to see if we can catch a quick look at it here back. I say let's go back to those 2 cars.
Wagner's coming back on him right now in turn 1, holds back.
Turn 3. Well, we'll jump back live because there's too much going on, so we'll jump back live because
turn 2 was they had a left rear right front contact in turn 2 there, and they touch for sure, but both cars continue on. Wagner's going forward again in turn 2. That time Wagner gets a little more pinched on the yellow line, doesn't quite have the run to make on the exit, so Cohan holds on for another corner.
Yeah, saying up front, Stouffer and Durazo, they're having the tough fight right now. You can see right now Durazo try to make the move, but again, though, I'm looking to see where's Edson, and yeah, you can see he's kind of holding that top side now, but he's been able to build the gap to about a half a second, and so what's happening for Stouffer, he's just having to watch his mirror every time now, because he's got to make sure he can try to keep
there's
Durazo.
Almost contact again by Wagner and Cohan. These guys are inches apart on the exit of turn 1 there, almost some contact, and now Wagner is kind of hanging back a little bit, but this is quite the battle to watch between these 2 cars, because Wagner does not want to be where he is, and I think he almost just tagged the outside wall there in turn 2.
Oh, that's very close there as we went back and looked, and yeah, I think, and I'm sure probably a little bit of arrow wash there as well, and yeah, it's like you said, I mean, these guys are going for everything. I mean, this is also a battle for the top 5, so I mean, every position matters, but you're going to want to get everything you can get here, so. And I'm saying there's still battles throughout the field. You got Gary Laverne here, Jim Herrick there right on top of each other. This is just inside that top 10 position. We've talked about Nicholas Stockner. He's had a wild night tonight with the two tunnel turn incidents. One saved, one unfortunately did not. And Tristan was on the wrong side of that one. So, but yeah, I mean, there's so much going on right now. And like I said, yeah, again, we still got over half this fuel run to go on this stint here. And I'm wondering if these guys are remembering that, or if they're pretty much treating this thing like it's maybe like 4 to go, not 17 to go.
It's definitely a case of, hey, I got to make my moves right now, because you don't know exactly what situation you're going to be in come the end of the race. So that's why we're seeing Wagner and Stockner Wagner and Cohan going at it, Durazo and Stouffer going at it. It's do or die right now, but you also have to mind your tires, because if you're on these battles right now, you're not going to have anything at the end of the race. So you almost have to bank on a caution happening right at the end of the race, where you can actually get some track position back and maybe just hold on for a better position than you were originally sitting. So I think a lot of the stuff that's going through these drivers' minds right now is battle when you can, but when you know you really can't do anything without such a high risk, just hang back, save the tires, and see if there's maybe a late race stash that you can get a couple more spots on. Otherwise, just be happy with where you're at.
Yeah, and you can see things have definitely kind of settled in a little bit. There's still a really good battle here with Herrick and Laverne here. So again, this is 9th and 10th at the moment. Ryan Kelly's got a great view of that one. Jeff Heisung, Shane Coker, same thing. They're just about a 10th apart. As again, I mean, these guys just side by side through the tunnel turn. again, there's so much commitment that you got to make in these ones. And Ryan Kelly now, he's trying to figure out, okay, what lanes are you guys going to run? He's kind of able to squeeze the middle of those 2 lanes to get some clean air on the front wing of that 33 as we're down to 15 to go here.
Trying to figure out. So our best mover so far is Durazo, right? Up to P3, and this is a great situation for him. And maybe these hotter tracks are a better situation for Durazo, because we've seen him be very aggressive in previous races, but it always manages to find some sort of situation where he gets himself into trouble. But if he's racing kind of in the dirty air, I think Durazo is definitely one to watch going forward here. So great run from him, and I'm sure that his team will be very, very happy that he gets himself up there and into this championship battle. It's still very, very early in the championship. There's a lot of movement in positions and everything like that, but this is probably a growth race for Durazo, knowing he could stay out of trouble, race very close to some of these guys, and prove himself. And I'm happy to see such a high gainer in this field tonight, when we were originally thinking that this was just going to be a procession.
Looking back at Ryan Kelly, I saw him lose a bunch of spots, went back to see why, and that was because he decided that he wanted to kind of show off that he could do some great drifting as well. I'm going to go back one more time here. We'll catch where it actually started here for that number 33 car. So you see him entering 3 here, Andrew, and he gets on the throttle, steps out of them, and then, that's throwing smoke and everything out the tires of that car. So really good job by him somehow to hang on to it. So he's trying to make sure Stockner wasn't the only highlight reel of saving that car tonight.
Well, that's an incredible situation, actually, because we see these cars so tight in the heat, and to see someone lose the rear like that was almost kind of refreshing to say, oh, okay, someone's playing around with the tools in their car to actually get the car to turn, and he kind of found the setting was maybe just a little bit too much spin there. But great save by Ryan Kelly. He continues on. And just as I was looking at the championship standings, Ryan Kelly is sitting to 7th place going into tonight. So
Matt Wagner's in, I think, is side pod damage for that number 6 car. So he's had a moment somewhere. Probably same, obviously, exit of one of the turns there, catching the outside wall. I don't believe it was contact from. It could have been contact as well from the 85 car. So I'll have to see. I'm guessing fast repair, maybe tires and fuel. So again, he should stay on the lead lap, so this is interesting here too, because now he's going to be off sequence. If there were to be a yellow, he could try something completely different.
Yeah, unfortunate. We've seen it happen with many cars here that just know their limits and they suddenly don't know their limits. But talking about someone that didn't know their limits earlier in the race, we have Chris Stouffer that is rallying back from that side pod damage, sitting in 2nd place right now. So his pit stop situation with the fast repairs actually brought him back into a spot where he could contend for the win here if he can just get that bug Daniel Durazo off his rear wing.
Yeah, Daniel's going to have none of that. He's going to stay as difficult as he can be. Do also need to mention that Robert Smith pitted the previous lap, John Borst on pit road. Now, those are those 2 that got the wave rounds. Didn't get the caution they were hoping for. And kind of what you said, they went as far as they could. And so that's going to keep them now. I believe both of them trapped a lap down. It's going to be close, I believe, for the 86 car, because he's leaving pit road now, whereas Edson, just passes them there. So he's going to kind of come out. He's going to be in the thick of this thing here with these other guys. So we'll see what he can do. And you can see he's going to try to hug it low. Look at the battle here on his outside.
Oh, my goodness. 3 wide out of turn 1 there. And you asked me the question before about the cars that are exiting pit lane on turn 1. Not only do you have to make sure your car works in the middle lane exiting turn 1, but you have to make sure you don't hit the car on the outside at the same time. So great driving by Durazo and Stouffer there to avoid that lap car, but they're just going right back to battle again, right as they're past the lap car. Now the lap car is going to have fresh tires as they catch these 2 drivers, so that might get interesting later on in the race as well.
Yeah, I'm going to be curious to see what John's thought is here, because you want to get back up there, and if he could even unlap himself, that'd be even better. But at the same time, I believe right now he's clearly sitting the first car one down. I believe actually Robert Smith had an incident. He's actually had to hit pit road and take a tow. I'm going to try to go back and catch what happened to Robert here. So we'll pick
just
up the pace.
my quick comment on that is that at this point, 9 laps left, and you're just gonna sit behind these guys.
Oh
Please
my
don't
goodness.
get involved.
He hit a
Oh.
bump there he caught the wall just a tiny bit, and then hit the bump and just launched him.
Yeah, there's that random scary bump. I actually asked Eric Peterson before the race about this, and he said, "Yep, it's just on the low line. It shouldn't be a problem." And then now we see, unfortunately, it's collected someone in the race, and I know it's there. This is one of those things with Pocono that sticks with me, is that bump is there, and it could just randomly get you out of nowhere.
And just like you talked about there, I just saw the 86 completely rolled out of it, let Craig go on by there. He knows, hey, this isn't my fight right now. And I'm sure he's going to be doing the same here in a moment when the 85, probably on the front stretch would be my guess, because this would actually be a really nice pocket for him to sit in, because after that, there's about 2.5 seconds to Wayne Campbell, who's in 6th position. So, Gary Laverne there says the same thing, just caught the wall out of turn 3 as the battle here. Oh, look at Durazo there. Huge move entering turn 1.
I was reserved for comment. I thought that he had it, and then I know that when you go low on turn 1 like that, it really kind of narrows up on the exit, and Stouffer knew that, and he kind of hung back a little bit, and he takes the spot back. This is going to be a battle to the end here, and it's great to see in such hot weather we have this great battle here that people were just saying, oh, we're just going to hang behind and save the fuel. Nope, it's time to go right now. We're coming up to 6 to go. Looks like Durazo actually picked wrong there and lost a little bit on Stouffer, which is bringing Forsyth back into the picture again.
Yeah, I was about to say, Craig's just watching these guys because, like you said, if they burn their stuff up, there's still 6 more laps to go. Craig can try to pounce here in these closing stages, especially if they stay focused on one another. We saw that last week at Texas. Everybody was busy fighting. Craig saw the top lane open. He gained about, 5-6 spots in a lap there just because everybody else was worrying
crazy
about everything else.
This is exactly Craig Forsyth territory. Something he always preys upon is, oh, good, these guys are fighting. I'm just going to go ahead and be very, very conservative. And next thing you know, I'm going to pounce on both of you. So Forsyth's there, and he's going to find a way to do it. But I have to say that Forsyth's been unimpressive this race so far in terms of making his way through the field. He's tried to save some fuel. He's been in a couple of battles, but he's always been on the losing end of it. So maybe he could turn this around and pick up a couple more spots here and pick up a podium.
Yeah, I mean, I'm saying the thing is, I say if we were watching his stream on YouTube right now, you'd see he'd have full lean going on right now through the turns, giving everything it has. I think it's just been a difficult combo, and you see right there the 86 letting the 85 go on by there through the tunnel turn. Same thing again. He knows that he's not in this fight, so let these guys go, let them battle out. Because again, even Nick here, he's still within about 6-7 tenths. So top 5 currently. I'm sure would love to get a few more spots. And the other thing to mention, of course, Andrew, is here go. Daniel's gonna try to peek on the outside there of Stover. He's gonna squeeze himself through. We'll see what they can do through the tunnel turn. Now it's the outside, a little bit of contact. Durazo around. Caution is out. And again, I feel like we just talked about that, where just can't get the break until to the ends of these races. And once more, it's exactly that. You see both front wheels broken on that 2 car.
They were very, very. This is almost the exact same incident as the Coker and Jabot incident. It was Coker and Jabot, right?
I believe
think
so.
I think it looks like Durazo definitely was thinking that Stover was going to turn a little bit earlier, but I almost looked like Durazo was kind of leaning in on him a little bit on the entry of the corner. You can almost kind of see that the car is sort of stuck to him as they enter the corner, and then there's the spin there.
Yes, and I was trying to look at it from Craig's point of view as well, because he'll be able to get a really good shot here. We can see the entry basically, and yeah, it seems like
Stouffer is driving in a straight line, and Durazo is sort of starting to lean into the corner a little bit, and it's almost like they get connected. That's kind of how I read it.
Yeah, I kind of get again, I mean, I'm not behind these things at the 210, 220 they're doing, but I kind of wonder if it's one of those situations where for Durazo, he's like, he's going to have to turn in eventually, and then Stouffer's thinking, I'm going to wait as long as I can to turn in to try to pin him way, way up top. And again, when you're doing sim racing, you're not going to have the same kind of situations that you might in a real life situation. So again, that's my unofficial view of it as well. So now the question is going to be, this is a big track here. will they get a restart? I don't think they will because that caution came
I
out.
think they will.
So say we'll get the 2
We'll
to
have
go.
one lap.
I think it's going to be basically a white checker, or not a white checker, but I think it's going to basically, it would go green coming to the checkered flag, if I'm not mistaken. Because what will happen is here we're going to cross around 2 to go, unless we get the 1 to go here, would be the question.
Drum roll, Gael. Here we go.
I'll say this will be where we find it out. If the lights turn off of the pace car, 2 to go, and what's the pace car looking like? No, lights are on. So what'll happen is lights will turn off with the 1 to go, and then from there, yeah, this will be official. You see John Borst, he's going to get his lap back here in the 86 car, but I do not believe we're going to be going back green here. And again, late race heartbreak for me is that 2 car of Daniel DeRozan. I mean, it's exactly what we just talked about. He's been such good runs, just at the very closing stages, just wrong place, right time, wrong place, wrong time, whichever way you want to describe it. That's a heartbreaker for him.
Yeah, we were watching that view from Forsyth there, and we saw 2 cars ahead, and we saw the gap between the 2 cars starting to close, entering turn 1. And again, when you're on the outside, it's always very, very difficult to figure out what point you need to turn the car in. But based on how these 2 cars were driving, that bottom line was never going to be feasible. We saw Durazo take that low line into turn 1 on previous laps, and he just kind of dies out right on the exit. So you almost have to kind of realize that as time goes on, you're going to need to turn higher and higher and higher. And if you're going to try and run someone on the outside, you have to be prepared to run that wall the whole way around. So this has happened. This is an experience I've been through many times, in saying, hey, why didn't you turn in earlier when I'm on the outside? And you're saying, okay, well, I can turn in when I want because I have the preferred line into the corner. So it's such a gray area in this situation. So I chalk that down to a racing incident, and these 2 guys were completely battling nose to tail.
Oh yeah, they're going tooth and nail there.
Doing everything. Tooth and nail. That's the term I was looking for. And yeah, it's pretty crazy when you think about these temperatures of this track, where it's very, very difficult to run side by side. We saw so much side by side battling here tonight. I think these guys put on quite a show for us, and you have quite a few guys in this grid right now that are very, very happy that the first race of the season, they're sitting in the top 10 right now.
Yeah, no, exactly right. And I peeked over on the YouTube chat. Got to give some love to Hugo popping in. Say definitely didn't want to see that incident too. Say he was just chiming in right now. But Hugo, we miss you on track, man. Hope you're doing well. And Matt did mention earlier when I had brought up the fuel only idea, he said that he was thinking about that idea too. But unfortunately, like we talked about, had the contact somewhere, obviously probably exit of the turn, we suspect. And that had to make an unscheduled pit stop. And now with the timing of this yellow, that winds up dropping him to 14th. But I'm looking around, though. I'm looking at these drivers that have made huge climbs tonight, though. And we talked about the 85 a lot tonight. Top 5 in the 4th spot, 15 spots gained. Wayne Campbell in that number 42 car, he has gained 14 spots tonight as well. So a really, really good result for him as well. I believe he went off strategy at some point in tonight's event as well. Bill Burrell, I think he was the lucky dog 2 cautions ago. He's going to bring it home in 10th. He's up 12 positions. And then Bill Colley as well, up 11 spots into 13th in that 31. I mean, you can even see he was also limping a little bit of damage on that right side. So I'm sure one of those exits of the turns caught him as well. But able to still manage that thing and bring it home in the top 15. So really good results for those guys. But yeah, obviously we saw short run. Chris was really quick, but I just don't know if anybody long run had anything for Edson tonight. It just seemed like, again, he had the clean air, but it seemed like nobody could break away from him.
Edson definitely, I was going to say this during the start of the race, that Edson manages to put himself up at the front of the field here, and he always manages to, as long as he doesn't have a pit stop situation, Edson on the front row always turns out to be a good race for him, and it's been proven time and time again. So Edson's our first repeat winner of the season. He's going to have a nice championship lead, so we'll see where we go from here. It's a very, very long season, and I'm very excited to see how this develops.
Yeah, no, and that's exactly right. And I'm looking at the stats as well from earlier in the season, and it's been Edson. This will be his second win of the season. The other win was Christopher. So now let's say these two obviously going after it. It looks like they'll go all season long. But again, Craig Forsyth, I say he is now. Will be his third top 5 in a row. So while these two are going after tooth and nail, we talked about Craig might try to peek in there at some point while they're not focused on him and do some magic too. So it's going to be a lot of fun to see. And again, 3 great starts to the season for Craig as well.
It's very early in the season, and some of these new names are really making a stake in this series, and I'm very excited to see. We had Nicholas Stockner have a little bit of a reckless beginning to his season, but he, despite having a couple of slight issues tonight, he has the pace to run up front. So I think he's going to start to make a jaunt on some of these leaders up front here. And some of these guys, these veterans, better watch out, because I think we're going to see a new winner or two this season, especially if the track type is right and the caution situation is right. As we see Edson,
he's trying to make sure he passes Tech there.
Yeah, I'm not really sure what's going on right there, but that was quite a celebration. But he is the only repeat winner of the season, and that's exactly where he wants to be. And his pal Rafael Eckert hasn't raced much this season, but Edson is carrying on the torch as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, exactly right. And Hugo really happy about the result for his teammate here as well. And so we're going to try to pull up those official results tonight, if it lets me, because things are doing things like they like to, it looks like, Andrew. So let's give this one more try here. Yeah, I say it wouldn't be a day that ends in a Y without some sort of hiccups, it seems. So I was noticing that too. I'm wondering if there was something that hasn't popped all the way through, but unfortunately I may not be able to get the formal results here. So what we can do though is we can read it through the timing scoring over on that left side, and if maybe hopefully it pops up at some point it decides to. But it's going to be Edson getting the win over Christopher, Craig Forsyth, our podium finishers, Nick Cohan, Gary Laverne, those top 5s. Then you've got the 42 Wayne Campbell, Jim Herrick, Nicholas Stockner, Jeff Heisong, Bill Burrell, top 10s. Larry Yingling brings it home 11th in front of Ryan Kelly, 12th. Then Bill Colley, you mentioned there, 13th. Matt Wagner, 14th. John Borst able to get that lap back at the very, very end. Unfortunately, not able to do anything with it with the caution there in 15th. And then drivers trapped a lap or more down, and also some early retirements, unfortunately, including Shane Coker in the 32. Daniel Durazo, obviously, that late incident with he and Stouffer. And then Robert Smith, Eric Peterson, Chris Jabot, we saw his incident. Tristan Forson, Will Stearns, Eric Schaus, I think connectivity issues for him, and then Frank Irwin Jr. there in the 24 spot, and Charles T did not grid this evening. All right, let's go hunt down some fellows to chat with here, Andrew, and I believe we're going to start with our podium third place finisher here. Make sure this at least is working. Let's get these rolling here. So we're going to pull in our third place finisher, and that is going to be a Mr. Craig Forsyth. So we'll drag Craig on in over to have a chat with you. Craig started third, finished third. A lot happened in between. It was warm this evening on the track, and probably a little bit warm in the drivers' helmets at some points during the race. But you're watching that battle with Stouffer and with Durazo. Were you just kind of like, okay, these guys might burn their stuff up and I can try to get both of them in one shot, or what are you looking at in those closing laps there?
I think I had to be honest with myself, and I don't think I had anything for any of those guys that were in front of me there. I could not gain on them. The weaving, was done exactly to break any of the runs you could get. I was left hoping something happened, and unfortunately something did happen. It benefits me, but it's unfortunate that they got together there. Robbed Daniel of a good result there. And I think I was down in fourth at one point. Matt was up ahead of me, and I couldn't do anything about Matt being ahead of me. Like I seem to be perpetually stuck in third, fourth, fifth, that area there, and could never. I mean, the only time I was able to lead was when I just stayed out longer, and and got a lap lead point. Other than that, I didn't have the pace for any of those guys tonight.
So I wonder if you felt like the restarts were the best time to get a run going, or was there any part of the race where you felt like there was a little bit of an advantage when the tires start to wear off and maybe you saved a little bit of tires, because we know you as the tire and fuel save guy. So maybe give the audience a little bit of insight of, can I actually save my fuel, my tires for 17, 18 laps of a 25 lap stint and really make a run for it when it gets to be the end of the stint? Or do I just need to pit early and hope that someone else comes in early enough that I don't undercut them?
Yeah, no, that was all of the pace was generated in those first 4 laps of fresh tires. So I had been planning on my last stint. I was going in as soon as the fuel window opened. That was the plan. I wasn't running it to the end at that point. That was going to give me a short stop because I'd done the longer stints. But unfortunately, caution came out, reset everyone, so everyone was good to go to the end. So at that point, I am the perpetual slow reaction time on the initial green flag. So didn't get the best run, couldn't get any type of run on anyone. And so once they settled in, it was just a matter of watching those guys fight. And if they hadn't been fighting as much, that's what let Edson get so far away. And you can see it's just like with those guys fighting, they were basically blocking all the air, and there was just nowhere for me to go. So that's what it was. If it had just been a one-on-one car battle, might have been different. But with those two already engaged in the battle, it basically you just had to sit back and wait for that battle to be done. I guess is the only thing left to do. Is just with it going 2 cars wide, there's not a lot of room left for you to do anything, and certainly wasn't going to be taking it 3 wide. That's for sure.
Yeah, no, the strategies were, and that was what I was curious about too. I was mentioning to Andrew about the when to make the pit stop, and yeah, do you pit as soon as you're in the window? Do you run long? And I kind of had that feeling too, where it seemed like you almost wanted to do the undercut there, but yeah, I mean, there was obviously, like I said, a lot of movements to be done, and like I said, the snake down the straightaways was definitely you saw a few times where they were pretty much down in the apron, so it was definitely everything to break the draft. So. Again, I mean, obviously really, really difficult conditions tonight for all the drivers with the high track temps. We definitely saw the turns were jumping out and biting drivers this evening as well. But a great result, say 3rd podium in a row for you. I know you want to get that 1 spot higher, but to start the season off with a 3rd at Homestead, 2nd at Texas, 3rd here tonight as well. I was telling Andrew, I mean, if Chris and Edson stay focused on each other, they'll forget about you, and you might sneak in there and grab some spots from them while they're kind of too focused on each other. So yeah, just a really, really great job tonight and all season long so far. So before we let you go though, as always, sir, and also happy Canada Day, got to give you the floor though for any thanks and shouts for that podium tonight. Uh-oh, did I break or did Craig break, or what we got here?
Oh, I was hitting the wrong button.
Craig, hello.
No,
There
that's
he
all.
is.
I was just hitting the wrong button. Don't mind me. I decided that the button on the other side of my wheel was talk.
I think it was more of a suspenseful thing. He wanted to
No,
get
thank
his
you.
list out. It was sitting
He's
on the
been
floor.
celebrating too hard already.
It's been a day. I was up in my attic this afternoon because that's totally what we do on
Joyeuse.
Canada Day.
Joyeuse fête du Canada.
Oh, thank you. No, I was saying I wanted the track to be hot tonight. I may have overshot just a little bit, so we'll try to keep it not quite that extreme next time. But no, I got to thank Jim over at 40 Racewear, and Bill, Chris, the whole team. We were having a good time in chat there, just focused, keeping our cars off the walls. And it was a good race tonight. Enjoyed it. The whole team had fun. And yeah, you guys over at Green White Checkers, both you doing the broadcast, thank you very much, Kyle and Andrew, and everyone at Area 51. Three different leagues during the week. If you like NASCAR or you like IndyCar, come join us.
All right, great job tonight, Craig. Go chat with your buddies, and then yeah, go and enjoy some off week. That way you can kind of catch your breath again, and really appreciate all the work you've been doing behind the scenes too, sir.
Oh, you betcha. Thanks, guys. Stay safe.
All right, we're going to jump one spot further forward, and that is going to be to that number 13 of Christopher. So we're going to bring him on in over here, Andrew, and gained a bunch of spots early, Chris. And then it's how do you deal with that Edson fellow? You definitely had a lot of pace on the short run, able to kind of put him into some difficulty, but it just seemed like the long run pace just didn't quite pan out, or he just wasn't like you just couldn't get by enough in order for you to try to do something on him. I mean, what did you have anything else up your sleeves, or did it feel like you just threw everything you could at him tonight?
Well, to be honest, on that very last stint, when we had that caution, that run to the finish there, I didn't think he was going to have enough fuel, and that's kind of why I dropped back. I dropped back to make sure I could saved a little bit of fuel to make it to the end, because it looked like we were going to be just a little bit short. And in doing so, I allowed him to just kind of drive away from us, and then I ended up fighting a lot harder for second than I wanted to. And then I ended up in a fight for second, for the last 15 laps or however many. So that's really what happened there. I think mid race, me and him, when that first caution came out, we were both on old tires, so I knew whoever ended up getting up front, getting the clean air was gonna be king. But kind of mirror drive me into the corner, one of the corners there, and it put me back enough that he could build that gap again. And so it's racing. Hats off to him because end of the day he won.
So we saw you in the first stint, Chris, come through the field like crazy, where a lot of the guys were struggling with trying to make the passes. So did you have a different strategy? Was it just a better guessing of cars ahead of you that were taking different lines? Because I think you went from either fifth or sixth up to second when everybody else was struggling. So I'm kind of curious as to how that managed to happen when nobody else in the field was able to pick up those amount of spots. Did you have a strategy? Did you save some tires early on and then it just kind of picked up, or what exactly happened there?
Well, I didn't qualify as well as I wanted. I qualified ninth, and so I
Okay, so
just
ninth to second then. Okay. I thought it was six, but go ahead.
so yeah, it's Pocono. It's one of the tracks I really like and really enjoy. So I get around here pretty well. And I think it was just being able to. I think the secret's just kind of backing up turn one a little bit, and getting a better run off of turn one, so you can get a run down the back stretch. And I knew everybody, with as hot as it was, it's a real struggle to pass people. So I tried to do as much passing as I could on while the tires were still fresh. And other than that, turn down in turn three, it was just more of just trying to find clean air. There's a couple times where I picked the wrong line and ended up behind somebody, and had to really get out of the gas and kind of ride the brakes a little bit to stay out of the wall. But yeah, just as far as making it up through the field, it was just backing up turn one is I think the key here, and getting a better run off of turn one down Long Pond into the tunnel turn. And it's just it's one of these tracks where I don't know why it just agrees with me. So I think that helped out a lot too.
So you were definitely busy tonight, man, but again, able to grab that runner up spot. So great job this evening, sir. And definitely got to give you the floor for any thanks and shouts for that runner up this evening.
Well, yeah, it's always shout out to 4D Racewear. Make sure to go to 4dracewear.com for all your sim racing accessories. I will throw out to Daniel. That's not how ever want to run a race, or not win, but get second or finish a race. Again, I thought Edson was going to run out of gas, so but since he had such a lead on us, I'm sure he was able to just kind of coast and just kind of laugh and watch us battle back there, and on fuel map 3 or something like that, to make sure he could save the fuel. uh, but in the end of the day, it didn't really matter. So apologize to Daniel. I know it's probably a racing deal, because I was certainly going down to the low line. I think he just turned in a little bit more aggressively than I did, and it just ended up getting us. But other than that, thank you guys up here in the booth, and Craig and the guys for putting on the lead.
Great job tonight, Chris, and look forward to seeing you on track again soon, sir.
Thank you.
All right, Andrew, we got one fellow left to chat with, and that is going to be our race winner in that number 20 of Edson Santos. And an odd fact for you for this one, Andrew, is so far this season, Edson's qualifying positions have been second, and second. And two of those 3 second places have come into the wins in the end of it. Edson, you were very fast tonight. It seemed like you were better in the long run. Did you feel like, was that just you had the balance to keep the tires in? Was it the clean air? What do you think was the magic for tonight to stay up front and keep everybody behind you?
Hello, Gail. Hello, guys, everyone. Yeah, I guess the clean air in front was helping a lot, but I find also a good situation to use with my wings, my front, my rear bars and weight jacker. I was with a good balance, reducing for a fourth gear and the last turn, and yeah, I guess it was a good configuration to use. Well, I was hoping to get the pole, but Matt did it. Obviously, I was interested in pole points, but above all, I'd like to have the advantage of being in front, not having too much dirt air in front. I'd like to be P2 or P3 at most, because the temperature was really high, and it was making it really difficult to get traffic during the race.
Yeah, and it seems like you're on the front row for all these qualifying sessions. And one thing we know about you is once you're up front, it's very, very hard to make that battle work. So I saw you battling with Stouffer a lot during this race. Do you feel like just the clean air is what got you forward this race, and you were able to take advantage of the clean air best? I saw you battling with Stouffer, going high, going low, and everything. And then once you had the lead, you had the advantage going there. And he was worried about your fuel situation. So talk about that. And did you feel like you had enough fuel to end the race, or were you kind
Yeah,
of running a little bit low?
no. I was okay with the fuel. Actually, at the beginning, I was saving fuel, but in the start of the race, fuel and tires behind Matt. But then I realized saving fuel wouldn't give me any advantage of making one last pit or something like that. So I took the P1 in that moment. But before this, I was following Matt, and I was fine. I was comfortable to be there. So even in P2, but looking for clean air, it was interesting. So I took the P1, and from then I decided to play with this situation. Obviously, the yellow flags were terrible, very bad to me, all of them, because they always put other cars with great chance of overtake me and have a fight for the win, like you mentioned, like Chris. But I was managing to open a little gap advantage. I was changing my lines, yeah, exactly, especially on turn 3. The penultimate yellow flag made us need to save a little bit of fuel, but I decided to accelerate everything on the restart to get a gap, have an advantage over Chris. And after 4 or 5 laps, I used map 3 to have fuel safely until the end. I was okay with the fuel. It's a shame again, less the yellow, because of course it would be good to finish the race on the green flag.
You did an awesome job though tonight. Like I said, able to hold everybody off. Like, and we mentioned it too when the cautions came out. It was, well, we know someone who's not going to be happy, and that was you, because you had built such a good lead a couple of times tonight. But in the end, you were able to do everything right to get the spot and hang on to it to get the win tonight. So big congrats. That's another really, really great race for you. So definitely want to give you the time here. Any thank yous and shout outs for the win tonight?
Yeah, I'd like to send a hi for all my teammates in Brazil. from Linear Energy Racing. I don't know if it was possible to see and broadcast, but we are using a new point. I don't know if it was possible to see, and of course it was lucky for me, first time using this new point, and yeah, it's like to thank all of them there, the team, and yeah, let's go to the next one. Maybe I'll be here again.
Sounds good, sir. Congrats again. Go enjoy this one, and look forward to seeing you on track again soon.
Yeah, I appreciate it, man. See you guys.
All right, Andrew, that is our race winner in that number 20 of Edson Santos. And yeah, somehow, crazily enough, he started second all 3 races. 2 of those 3 have been wins. So he's obviously, second's not the worst place to be. And he mentioned changing his lines up and making those guys have to guess, because that's what you got to do when you get to these situations, to do everything you can to try to hold on to that top spot. And when you got straightaways as long as this, I mean, you're going to have to make it as hard as you can. And that's why we also saw that snaking down the straightaways.
Yeah, Pocono is definitely one of those tracks where you have no idea exactly where you're going to wind up. The pitting, the strategy for placing your car in the right spot at the end of the race. So I think this was actually a much better race than we thought it was going to be in terms of getting everybody to battle and everything. So crazy times here, and I'm really looking forward to seeing how the rest of the season unfolds with some of these guys that are competitive up at the front. And I think we're going to see a couple new winners this season, and I'm very much looking forward to that.
Oh no, for sure. I'm in the same boat as you. I mean, you've seen the pace of some of these drivers, and I mean, we talk about it a lot, where it's just you put yourself in position, and one of these times it's gonna go the right way. So, yeah, I'm excited to see how that one's gonna pan out, and who and where it'll be at for sure. And so yeah, for those guys, the next opportunity is gonna be in 2 weeks' time at Gateway. Going to be taking, obviously, next Tuesday off, just in case anybody's doing a long 4th of July holiday. So we'll be back on July 1st for that one. And then also on the Super Speedway side, taking a little bit of time off there as well. So we'll be on break a little bit for here at Green White Checker TV, but do want to thank you all for watching and supporting us here, especially Matt, who is apparently now our #1 fan on YouTube. So big thank you, Matt, for doing that. And also, of course, Hugo popping in as well. Glad to see him. Wish he was on track though. And yeah, Andrew, always a blast doing these with you, man. It's a lot of fun hanging out and learning from you and just getting to show off what these guys can do over here.
Yeah, it's definitely been a great season so far, and I'm looking forward to coming races, and we'll see what happens with the championship going forward.
Yeah, it's going to be fun. So again, thank you everybody for watching, supporting. Of course, as always, as we like to say, until next time, take care, stay safe, and have a good night. And I'll make one addition. Please come back with all your fingers that you start the weekend with. So be careful there as well. All right. Have a good night, everybody. Take care.